Welcome, everyone. My name is Helen, and I'm a volunteer with the Spiritist Society of Melbourne. And tonight, I'm going to share my understanding on the topic beliefs and karma. And that's based on my knowledge of the Spiritist philosophy and my understanding on that topic. And what I will expose here today might be different from other students of the Spiritist philosophy, because I'm also a student of this philosophy, and we're all on our learning journeys. So it might differ slightly from other colleagues that are studying the same philosophy. But we'll do our best to bring information that the higher spirits brought us and expose on that. So, who is responsible for our afflictions? And I use the word responsible here because we're going to see as we talk about this topic, because it's about beliefs and karma, that we're not talking about blame. It's more responsibility, because responsibility will give us power to transform, and blame keeps us in the same place. So it's understanding how we can be responsible for changing our situation. So that comes to the other question. Can anything be done to change our circumstances? And what would that be? So today's topic is based on this book called Changing Attitudes, which is dictated by the spirit Hamed. And the medium that channeled and wrote the book is Francisco do Espírito Santo Neto. And the chapter that we are talking about is called Beliefs and Karma. And this book gives us insight on things that we perhaps have to look into ourselves and change. And also for today, I'm using these two books, which is the Gospel According to Spiritism and the Spirit's Book, which are two of the basic books on which the Spiritist philosophy, let's say, sits upon. So the Gospel According to Spiritism, it brings the teachings of the Christ explained by the higher spirits that were assisting Allan Kardec. And the Spirit's Book is, I heard this saying and I thought it was wonderful, the greatest interview of all times. So it was Kardec and a group of people that were interested in learning. They asked questions to spirits of higher degree, and they collected these answers and put it into this book, which is the Spirit's Book. So I'll be utilizing those two and Changing Attitudes, which is what we're basing on. If we look at the Gospel According to Spiritism in chapter 5 and item 4, the spirits tell Kardec that they were talking about causes of afflictions in this chapter. So the chapter is named Blessed Are the Afflicted. And the higher spirits are expanding on that concept of what that truly meant. So in item 4, the higher spirits, they ask this question, which is rhetorical, and answer it. Who then is responsible for man's afflictions, if not man himself? Humans are thus, in the majority of cases, the artisans of their own misfortunes. But instead of acknowledging this fact, they find it simpler and less humiliating to their vanity to accuse fate, providence, bad luck, or their unlucky star. So the spirits, they start this item saying that there are two main causes. You can find the main causes of people's afflictions either in the present life, or outside of the present life. And within this lifetime, it might be something that you say, if you eat unhealthy food, then as a consequence, you might suffer from some disease and your affliction was caused because of that. But they say that there's some things that are not explained within this lifetime. So we would have to look at the cause in another lifetime. And like I said, it's more about responsibility than it is about blame. It's just looking at how responsible am I and what can I do in this given circumstance? And if you can't find the why in this period in this lifetime, it might be that you have to look in a different lifetime. So Hamed, he starts by saying that mentality is the intellectual capacity. And then he explains, that is an individual's set of beliefs, habits, and psychic dispositions. This set consists of deep records located in the spiritual body, the root cause of the way we act and think, accumulated or gained since the dawn of time. So Hamed is saying that our mentality is the result of us trying to, since the beginning of our intelligence and our ability to think, and therefore the ability to choose, which is our free will, to make sense of things around us. So as we progress through our lives, we develop beliefs, habits, and psychic dispositions that are constantly changing, or that can be changed for the positive. So no matter where you are in terms of mentality and the way that you think, it isn't something that's fixed, it's something that's always progressing. And we will find that in the law of progress, which we can find in the Spirit's book as well, that we are constantly progressing intellectually and morally. And what he says here is, because it started when we were not conscious, like when we were back in the days where it was a primitive world, many of those beliefs, they are unconscious. We do not know that we have these beliefs. We sometimes think they're true. And that has a consequence in the way we act, the things that we do, and obviously the reactions that we get. Okay? So, and by the way, every time there is something within quotes, and I do not put where it comes from Hamed in Changing Attitudes, in the chapter that I'm talking about, which is belief in karma. So our mentality attracts everything we radiate, either consciously or unconsciously. And that's what we were talking about. So the way that we think brings experiences to us so we can learn and so we can grow. And the Spirit said in the gospel that not everything that happens, I don't know if you remember, it was in the first slide. So we're not going to go into that part, but we're going to go into the part where we are truly responsible for the things that are happening around us. Because it might be that in some cases, we go through afflictions for a different cause. Okay, but we're not going to get into that right now. So there are certain concepts that we have that attract prosperity and makes us feel good. However, while others disconnected from spiritual progress and reality. So there are some things that we believe that helps us attract good things around us, and not only attract, but see good things. Because when we have a certain very, very closed mind and very rigid beliefs, sometimes good things are right in front of us and we cannot see. So the fact that we have a different kind of mentality, we might go to one or to the other. And it might be that it will bring us joy and comfort, and the same thing might not bring us joy and comfort. And our beliefs, this is the important part, we can always change. So we can choose the beliefs that help us. We can identify that the beliefs that we have that do not help us, and we can change them. So they are aligned with progress and growth. And Hamed continues in the book saying, because we still cannot see things out of the veil of illusion that involves us, we believe in prizes and punishment, when in fact, we only bear the consequences of our acts. So throughout time, because we were trying to make sense of why certain things happen and certain things do not happen, at some point we've developed a series of belief in prize and punishment, that there was a God somewhere that would benefit some people and punish other people. And what the spirits bring us in the Spiritist philosophy, and we can hear that through Hamed here, is that that's just because we really still have the veil of illusion. So we have that false understanding of some of the things that we are living still. And what he says is that we are only bearing the consequences of our acts. So if we, like I said in the beginning, if we don't take care of our health, no one is to be blamed but except us. And if we do take care of our health, then we have a different result, and we are also responsible for that. And we have to understand that responsibility gives us power. Because whatever it is that happens, all the beliefs, all the attitudes and the actions that brought us here to where we are today, they were part of us in our way of thinking and our way of acting. And because of that, we can change them because that's under our control, or at least we can learn how to change that. And that's very empowering. And that's what I said in the beginning. So nothing that we're talking about here is about blame. And if you're going through something challenging at the moment or through a very difficult situation, this is not the right time to think about this in depth. It's more about having faith. However, when that tempest has gone, you can think, how could I have done different? Or could I have done different? But with no blame, because we don't think that blame works, and it doesn't bring us to grow. It actually keeps us in the same place. So he continues saying that everything that happens in your life is the product of your beliefs and thoughts that have materialized. So the things that you believe and the thoughts that you keep in your mind, they end up showing up in front of you. And because we have so many information around us, and that you can, if you look up the NLP model of communication, it explains that more in depth. I'm not going to go through that we have that many informations in any given moment, And for our brains to make sense, we have to delete a few things. We have to generalize a few things. And sometimes we distort a few things. And yeah, and that sometimes you end up seeing things based on what you have inside your beliefs and your thoughts. If we look at the Spirit's book, because if we think of afflictions, we might think, is there justice? Is there justice? Is God or the supreme intelligence that created everything, is that supreme intelligence more caring towards certain people and less caring towards other people? And the answer obviously is no. And justice is a law of nature according to the higher spirits. And Kardec, in one of the questions, because they were talking about justice and about suffering and pain and why these things happen. And the spirits in this question here, 874, Kardec asked, if justice is a law of nature, how may it be explained that people understand it so differently? And that one individual, and that what one individual considers just appears to be unjust to another. So why is it that although justice is a law of nature, people understand or think one thing is just or another thing is unjust? Why is that if justice is a law of nature? And the spirits answers, it's because the passions are usually mingled with the sentiment of justice, thereby altering it. The same thing occurs with the majority of the other natural sentiments, and it causes things to be seen from an erroneous point of view. If we look at history and how the sense of justice changed throughout history, we will see that supreme justice is based on love, whereas human justice is learning to get there. So we do not know, because we're learning, what is supreme justice, which is based on love. And the reason why we don't know is what the spirits say here. It's because of our passions, because we're still attached to many passions that do not help us. We see things distorted in terms of justice, whereas the divine law of justice is the same all across the universe. And we are slowly going in that direction. So if we look at in the past, what it looked like and what it is now, although there's still a lot to improve, we can clearly see that there has been a progress and towards something more loving, more just, and not something biased. So that's what the spirits bring us when they talk about about justice. And the spirits tell us that the afflictions that we go through is related to the law of justice. I found this very, very interesting that Hamed said in this chapter. He said, God doesn't judge personal acts, but created perfect laws that guide the universe. So that idea that we had in the past that God would judge people, what the spirits say is God is ever loving and he doesn't judge the acts. However, there are natural or divine laws. And if we step out of that law, then we perceive suffering because we're still learning. So God isn't judging individual personal acts. Oh, Helen did this. Okay, so this is what she deserves. No, there are natural laws. And if I disrespect that within myself and with other people, there are consequences. And we know that if we go towards the natural laws, we tend to suffer. So I thought that was very interesting that God doesn't judge personal acts, but he has all the perfect laws that guide the universe. In saying that, certain ideas about karma don't match coherence and logics of reincarnation, leading you to distorted and unreal interpretations of the divine laws. Karma in Sanskrit means simply action. And some people sometimes think, oh, I have to suffer this because this is my karma. And what Hamed says, and we can find that also in other books of the Spiritist philosophy, is that karma is action. So you can have a positive karma through positive actions and a negative karma, which is negative actions. And each of these actions have a consequence. And that is, and he's going to explain in a few slides, karma in the sense of justice. So karma is not a punishment. I have heard so many people use the word karma as punishment, as, oh, this is my karma, or I have to go through this because this is my karma. Karma is the actions that were taken. So if you repeat something consistently throughout your life and it's not positive, at some point that will have a negative consequence. And if you think that if you do that through different lifetimes, in some lifetime, that's going to show up as something that you have to adjust. And he continues saying, look how beautiful, that suffering only serves as a means of transporting souls back to love, where we came from. That is the sole objective of suffering. It's just transporting, saying, no, this is the wrong direction, bringing people back to where we came from, which is love. And he continues saying that the purpose of pain is to broaden horizons so we can actually visualize concrete and loving ways to reach perfect balance. Isn't that beautiful? And I don't know if you noticed within yourself, but I certainly noticed with me that sometimes when I'm going through pain and physical pain or emotional pain, you start questioning yourself about life. You start asking questions that in the day-to-day life, when you're running around and doing things, sometimes you don't have time to do that. And I say sometimes because some people do have a special time to work on themselves. But many of us do not. And when we have, like when we're ill or when we have an emotional problem or we suffered from an emotional pain, something happened to us and that was painful, then that's when we tend to ask questions that are philosophical questions about life, about ourselves, about what can I do different, trying to link and see if what's happening outside of us has to do with something that I did or not. So according to him, that's the purpose of pain, to broaden horizons so we can actually visualize. And this is what I thought that was the most beautiful: concrete and loving ways to reach perfect balance. While we're evolving, or in the level of evolution that we are, sometimes our solutions, they're not very loving. So that's what he's saying, that as we go through this pain, we try to seek, because we can't put ourselves in the position of others. Say, when we go through a pain, and then when that's over and we see another person going through a similar situation, we can truly feel for them and feel what they're feeling, like their pain. And we can seek and see solutions that are more loving. And here is what he says about karma. And I put these little balls that hit each other, and as it hits, the other one goes the other direction, and that continues. He says that our karmas are like this: acts and attitudes you take many times, life after life, receiving as consequence the reaction from your freedom of action. So we have the free will, we have the ability to choose. Obviously, in different situations, that might not be respected by other human beings, but as a human, that's our right. We have the right to choose what we're going to do. And ultimately, if we can't change the exterior, we have the ability to choose how we are going to react to that. But if we do these same acts and attitudes through many lives, like I said before, that are not positive, what's going to happen is we're going to receive that back as a consequence or as a reaction. As they say, whatever it is that you sow, you shall reap, isn't it? So if you're planting a lemon tree, you're going to get lemons. If you're planting something that only has thorns, you're only going to get thorns. So he finishes by saying that transforming actions by loving is to alter our karma for the better, attracting harmonious people and situations to you. So we have to rethink how we transform our actions. So we should transform our actions by loving ourselves, having diligence in this transformation, but having patience and love towards ourselves and also towards other people. And he said that the power of that is that we will be able to change our circumstances, because we will be able to alter our karma or our actions for the better, and therefore we will attract more harmonious people and situations to us. So this is what I had to bring today. This is a very interesting topic. Excuse me. I recommend that you study that further. And like I said, you can look in the Spirit's book and the Gospel, and also in this book called Changing Attitudes. So thank you very much. And I hope to see you all the next time.